Today, the United States Senate is set to vote on an abortion rights bill as the Supreme Court considers a challenge to Roe v. Wade. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the vote will, quote, shine like a floodlight to expose where every senator stands. Scott MacFarlane is at the Capitol this morning. Scott, good to see you. What are you learning about this upcoming vote?
Yeah, Vlad, this is quite clearly a reaction to that leaked draft majority opinion indicating the court is poised to strike down Roe versus Wade. The bill today being debated would codify Roe versus Wade and federal abortion rights into federal law. It's a vote Democrats want to have, but it's a vote Democrats know they will not win. A week of protests, vigils, and student walkouts nationwide give way to a seminal debate today in the U.S. Senate.
Why is something that is repeatedly referred to as settled law on the threshold of being swept away like so much dust?
Senate Democrats are fighting for a bill already passed in the House that would protect abortion access nationwide. They need 60 votes to pass it, but there's no indication they'll get there.
This radical pro-abortion legislation removes a range of common-sense protections that exist in states across the country.
And with the critical November midterms hanging in the balance, the decision may not be a strong driving force in elections. CBS News polling found if Roe versus Wade is overturned, it's likely to have no effect on nearly half of Democrats and 3/4 of Republicans.
There is a spillover into labor force participation.
But according to the nation's first female Treasury Secretary, it could have a major effect on women in the workforce and their ability to boost earning potential through higher education.
Eliminating the right of women to make decisions about when and whether to have children would have very damaging effects on the economy and would set women back decades.
The Senate is poised to block this legislation by the end of the day, and the Supreme Court is poised to rule on abortion rights by the end of next month. Vlad, Anne-Marie.
So, Scott, we keep hearing some members of the GOP call this abortion rights bill, they're calling it radical. Explain to us what they consider radical about it, and are they concerned, the GOP, that they will be on the record with this vote?
Yeah, one of the key tenets of this legislation, which is sweeping, is that it would restrict states from restricting some type of abortion rights. It would take some of the tethers away from some states. Republicans have been pretty emphatic as this week develops that that's an infringement, a radical infringement, they say, on states' rights, arguing that it would give some medical providers no choice to not provide abortion services. Any conscience clauses, they say, could be wiped out. They're also arguing that it would give too much power to a singular lone medical provider to decide whether an abortion is warranted or allowable. They say the states want the ability to regulate this, to legislate on this, and that the federal legislation being debated today impedes on those state rights. But they are saying in so many words on the Senate floor already this week that it's a radical bill. In fact, in the report you just watched, Vlad and Anne-Marie, the word radical was in the poster over the senator's shoulder. We'll hear more of that today.
I want to talk about some new CBS polling out this morning. You mentioned in your piece that if Roe v. Wade is overturned, it's likely to have no effect on nearly half Democrats and 3/4 of Republicans. What more are we learning?
Is it going to move the meter in the midterm elections? It's a good question to ask right now because Democrats know they're going to lose the vote today, but they want this spotlight. They want this public debate, and they want people to pay attention to it, with the potential, among other things, that it could change hearts and minds or it could change votes. This polling is quite striking, indicating not just with independents or Republicans, but with Democrats. 47% say if Roe versus Wade is overturned, it would have likely no effect on the midterm vote. These numbers indicate there are other issues that are potentially more prevalent or more salient in the minds of voters right now, be it inflation, grocery and gas prices, war. But Roe versus Wade may not be driving voters in a way that impacts outcomes in November. And that's what the polling shows as a debate's about to begin in the U.S. Senate. The Democrats hope do move votes, does move voters.
Scott, who are the senators to watch during today's vote? I'm specifically thinking about Manchin. I'm thinking about Murkowski. I know that Senator Collins of Maine has come out against this bill. She was on the record last week talking about it. I haven't heard from Murkowski or Manchin, but I'm not following it like you are. So what are you hearing?
Now, those are the three votes we watch on many matters in the U.S. Senate because they're in that middle ground of Senate votes. I'll explain why in a moment, but there's a fourth vote we're watching today who is somewhat counterintuitive. Let's start with Senators Murkowski and Collins, the two Republicans who have indicated some support to extending federal abortion rights. They don't seem to support this particular bill. They had their own proposal. That's not what the Senate's taking up today. Their proposal may be considered more narrow, but their votes are always worth watching because they have expressed concern about that draft opinion from the Supreme Court indicating Roe versus Wade could be overturned. We'll watch for what they do, and we'll listen to what they say today. Senator Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia, has not yet, as the debate begins, indicated how he'll vote today. His state, an overwhelmingly red state at this moment. And there's Bob Casey of Pennsylvania, a reliable Democratic vote on so much of what the Democratic caucus proposes here. But Bob Casey is a pro-life, a pro-abortion rights restriction senator from Pennsylvania. And his father was governor and is the Casey who's named in the Casey versus Planned Parenthood landmark Supreme Court ruling of the early 1990s on abortion rights. So we'll see what he does and what he says on the Senate floor today. But he's indicated he will vote in favor of today's legislation with perhaps the entirety of his caucus. But on abortion rights issues, Bob Casey is always somebody to watch. And today he'll be somebody to listen to.
Interesting. Scott, thank you.